Good morning, Orod.
Good morning, Soma. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? How's the weather in Melbourne?
Oh, it's really hot today.
Oh,
So it's around 40 degree. Tomorrow also will be very hot. And Friday, it will be 20 degree. So yeah, welcome to Melbourne,
oh wow.
everyone.
That's very unlike Melbourne, isn't it? Well, we are going to get some hotter days tomorrow and day after.
Mm,
So we are going to, like be more comparable with Melbourne weather, I believe. But
yeah.
I think that's good for all the Melbourne people that they are getting a bit of summer this year.
Well, we always have a couple of days summer.
Yeah. Only a couple of days, that's right. But well, hey, I do have a question for you before we start our topic. I can see a very beautiful craft on your wall. Could you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about it? I mean,
Yeah. Melody made them, I think, when she was in grade two.
oh, that's pretty
Or
cool.
maybe
And
grade one. Yeah, a few years
Melody,
ago. And it
Melody,
was her birthday last weekend, so she turned 10.
oh my gosh. Well, happy belated birthday, Melody. I hope she is listening to our this.
I will ask her to listen. In fact, she's kind of into Kanban because when I teach, especially after COVID, I teach and
Mm,
talk about Kanban and all that online. So she heard a lot. So I think she's a kind of Kanban expert.
that's amazing. And maybe you should get her to the Kanban Australia conference this year.
In fact, she has her own Kanban board, so maybe one day we can talk about that because, um, I started a Kanban board for Melody and then ended up implementing and introducing Kanban to school, to one of the school and to other kids. So maybe that will be a good, interesting topic to talk about later.
Why don't we invite Melody in one of our episodes and she can show us what she has? How
That
what
sounds good. Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm sure she will like it.
oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing with us about Melody's birthday and also her craft. That's beautiful. So today we are going to start our service delivery principle series with Kanban, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
So we are going to talk about the first one today.
Yes. So in last three episodes, we talk about Kanban change management principles.
Yes,
And today we going to talk about the first Kanban service delivery principle, which is, and I quote, understand and focus on the customer's need and expectations.
definitely. So what do you want to start today? Like by sharing some of your experience and also your understanding of that particular principle. What does it mean?
Mm. So I like to step back a little bit. In Kanban, we have two parties, two key parties. One is the customer, and the other one is the team, which we call them service delivery team, to fulfill customer demand. So customer has a demand, it needs something, and this group of people, the service delivery team, will build what customer wants and ideally deliver it to the customer at the right time when customer expected with the quality that customer expected. So customer and service delivery team, it's two key parties in Kanban. And this principle is basically about uh, who is our customer. So first we need to understand who our customer is or who our customers are, because you might have multiple customers, and what your customer expect, what is the quality that customer expect, what exactly customer wants, because one of the biggest problem we have in knowledge work is the customer demand. It's quite intangible, and sometimes customer don't exactly know what they want. So during this delivery process, we need to understand what customer wants, when customer expect to deliver this product or service or value, whatever it is, the solution. and give it to the customer. So I think this principle is all about who is our customer, what the customer wants, and when to give it to the customer.
Mhm. That's amazing, and I will just add few points to that because it's amazing how you took a step back and started with what, like the customer, the importance of customer and service delivery in Kanban. Now, when we hear this principle, especially this one, the first thing that comes to my mind is that it talks a lot about product management, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is about building fit for purpose
Mm-hmm.
product services.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a definition in Kanban about service, which we have reiterated again and again
Mm-hmm.
in our episodes. So for anything, like we should have a customer,
Yeah.
and the customer needs to have a need or
Mm-hmm.
a request, and the service delivery team or the service delivery part of the system will work on those through some processes or some activities
Mm-hmm.
to deliver the need to the customer, and the customer should be in a position to accept it back. When we
Absolutely.
think about it, the
Yeah.
first thing that we are getting out of it is that we need to understand our customer better. What are their needs? And now that is totally very much aligned with the product management principle,
Mm-hmm.
because whenever we are in the discovery phase, we are discovering, new
Mm-hmm.
services, product, we also do empathy mapping.
Mm-hmm.
So empathy mapping for a customer, which means that we are trying to understand our customer and put ourselves in their shoes to understand what is their problem, what is the problem we are solving for them.
Mm-hmm.
So think like a customer, think like a user.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what exactly the first principle of service delivery talks about, that focusing on customer needs and expectation is
Yep.
very important. And
Absolutely.
there, the first thing comes from that, okay, fit for purpose solutions, fit for
Mm-hmm.
purpose services. Instead of us making all the assumptions or hypotheses
Mm-hmm.
that this is what a customer might like, how about we focus from the customer's point of view and test it out?
Mm.
Or I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any example from your experience
Mm-hmm.
where you have seen that, teams who did not follow this principle or did not apply this practice in their world did get the, like the consequences of
Oh,
it?
yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, it's quite common that when you ask people that who is your customer, or probably the better question would be, who you working for, right? So this is a common question that I normally ask when I work with a team initially. And a lot of time people say, I work for my manager, right? Maybe they don't respond directly like that, but
Yeah.
implicitly they basically work for their manager. So basically what they want is to make their managers happy. So what I really try to do with the team with low maturity is to help them to understand that yes, you need to make your managers happy, but at the end of the day, your manager will be happy when your customer is happy. Otherwise, customer will complain to the manager, and manager come and say, "Okay, why these people keep complaining?" Right? So I think it's quite important that people understand who they actually working for. Um, and when they understand, and then another thing I wanted to mention is that customer is basically is someone or a team that consume your work. So you might have different customer, because sometimes when we say customer, people think about the end user, someone who's outside the company. But your customer can be internal, right? So it can be different department, it can be different team, and it's quite important that you understand who you're working for, who is going to consume your work, and try to satisfy those people, because when they happy, when they satisfied, then they give positive feedback to your manager as well, and then your manager also will be happy, because at the end of the day, manager needs to respond to those customers. So I think that's quite important. And I've worked with a lot of team that they don't even know who's going to consume their work and who they basically working for.
Mm. That's a really good example. And something that comes to my mind, which happened, like around 5, 6 years back, where there was a tech intern in one of the organizations I was working for.
Mm-hmm.
With this tech intern was there for an internship program, and on his last day, he got some time with me to ask me for any advice that would be helpful for his career. So the first thing that came to my mind was that I told him that ask why.
Mm,
Everything that you do, every code you write, ask what is the problem it's solving and for who.
mm,
And he was very puzzled. He was like, how is that going to help me in becoming a better software engineer? And I was trying to explain him the reason and also a bit of systems thinking that goes into that.
mm,
Because in many organizations, I see that there is a gap when something is built in delivery teams versus what the customer's problem was or what the need was. There's a gap in understanding. And I try to tell him that when a problem comes to the team, what delivery teams usually do, I've seen them doing, is that it becomes a bunch of tasks they need
mm-hmm,
to, like finish or achieve in a like month or in 2 weeks, whatever the time frame is.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and that is all they focus on.
mm-hmm,
That these tasks are assigned to me. I need to finish them, and I will be fine if they are finished. So I don't have time to look for anything else.
mm,
Now, the moment you ask why and how your work is going to help to solve a problem, if you have those context,
mm-hmm,
solution will become more and more creative. You will start thinking outside the box. You're not only just achieving those tasks or completing those tasks. Now you are thinking about how your work is directly related to solving a customer problem,
mm-hmm.
you to achieve more customer-centric solution. And in that way, you can always build better solutions, better softwares, better apps, or whatever division or department
Yeah, at least it's more meaningful.
it is meaningful.
Yeah.
It is giving you that sense of achievement that you are actually adding value and contributing to the organization's success
Mm,
because your work directly ties back to that.
yeah,
So, why and what, these are very powerful words, we all know. And if we understand the meaning behind it, that's what help us to build more fit for purpose solutions.
that's right.
This is the advice that I could give him, but
Mm.
I'm not sure if they're following it or not. But this is something that everyone who's listening to this episode should also take away, that understanding the why we do certain things and what is the problem it's going to solve and for
Yeah.
whom.
And also, that reduce the waste in your system because if you deliver something that, to actually solve your customer's problem, then you don't need to redo the work. A lot of time we build something and then customer look and say, no, this is not what I want. Or what you build probably makes sense to you, but as a consumer, it doesn't make sense to me. So they come again and ask you to change it and refine it or whatever, right? So the redo is a type of waste that we have a lot in knowledge work. And if we want to improve our agility or give some, meaningful time to ourselves and don't, because no one likes to redo the work, right? We always want to work on something new, and that helps knowledge worker, right? And motivates them. So that when we think about the customer and try to give something that the customer expect, then we reduce this type of waste. Another thing I wanted to mention as part of this principle is how this principle can improve the agility in organizations. So back to the main concept, so customer and service delivery team, when customers said I need something until that become a valuable shippable product or service or solution, it takes time. This time in Kanban we call it lead time. If we can deliver this work within the time that customer expected, which normally known as SLA or service level agreement or service level expectation, SLE, then we can say we have agility because we can deliver what the customer wants, when customer expected, then we can respond to other changes, right? If we keep changing direction without finishing the work and giving it the work to the customer at the right time, then to me it's not responding to change, it's just impulsively reacting to requests, right? Which is a chaos to me, and it's not agility. um, and then when we achieve this, then we can focus and see what we can do to reduce this lead time, because shorter lead time means more agility.
That's yes, that's exactly correct. And one more point that should be added to that principle is how we could reduce waste. Now, when we think about service, there's
Mm-hmm.
another aspect is that the customer should be in a position to use the work back or consume the work, the
Mm-hmm.
service. That's very important, which we often forget. And this is the reason when we are doing our analysis or synthesis of understanding what customer needs versus their expectation, we should be also in a position to find out whether the customer is going to accept the work back. Otherwise, it's gonna create waste. Now, I'm going to give you another scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams, they take work through quarterly planning, and they, like all the delivery team put in really hard work, all their effort to finish that work. And then they find out, and like there's like reports, data to see that the work is sitting idle, like it's not being accepted by anyone for like 6 months, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So when this happens, there is a gap. There
Mm-hmm.
is a gap in understanding what customer actually needs versus, like I would call it a pseudo priority,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where it just comes to the team and the team just starts immediately working on it.
Yeah.
So when and there is a concept in Kanban, the commitment points,
Mm-hmm.
when the delivery team is committing because they have that alignment with their customer or stakeholder, whether it be it external or internal, that when they finish the work, the customer is going to use that work or the service or the
Mm-hmm.
product. So if that is happening, if that alignment is agreed on, then only the delivery team starts working on it. Now, when we talk about this principle, this is also a part of it that when you are finding out more about customer needs or expectation, you also should be finding out that if you're delivering a service, it's going to be consumed by the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it creates waste in the system
Yeah.
because
So
it
maybe in another episode we can talk about make policies explicit, because this is absolutely correct. It's a mutual agreement between customer and the service delivery team, which a lot of time there is no such an agreement. So no, mostly, customer just send request and service delivery team work like, just take orders. You know what I mean? Which is not the best way of working. So that needs to be an agreement between both parties, and that helps both of them to improve their satisfaction. So I think now it's a good time to wrap up. So I think today we talk about the first Kanban service delivery principle, which is understand and focus on customer needs and expectations. We talk about that the first thing we need to do is to understand who is our customers, who should be or can be internal or external. And the goal is to deliver the product when the customer expected, with the quality that customer expected. And that helps to reduce the waste and redo eventually over time, and help to improve agility. Is there anything else, Soma, you want to add?
Yes, one more very important point that I would like to add. Most of the people who are listening to this episode, their customers might be internal, which they like, it could be their stakeholders. So one of the questions that could arise that how can we have that alignment with our customer about accepting the work back? One of the ways that could help everyone is to define an entry criteria. When you are
Mhm.
defining your entry criteria, that means you are also having that agreement with your customer that or
Yep,
stakeholder, when the work is done, they are going to use it. So that's
absolutely.
something simply like put there and add it to this, but we can also do another episode on that. So
Definitely, we need to talk about policies separately because that's a kind of hot topic, and it's worth to have a separate session
definitely.
about that. All right, I guess it's time to say goodbye to everyone. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we come back next week with another Kanban service delivery principle, which is manage the work, not the worker.
That's again one of my favorites. But thank you everyone for listening and giving us the support to keep us going. So thank you and stay safe and healthy. There's a lot going on around Australia weather-wise. So I hope everyone is keeping themselves safe and dry and also cold in some weather. So, and thank you, Aurath, for this amazing chat. So we'll see you next week.